What does that really mean to build a relationship? I understand about building trust and building respect and building relationship. What does that really mean? This video here is what does it mean to build a relationship? All right. I'm going to give you some definitions, but I'm going to try to really simplify it so we can all understand it together. Okay, so let's get right into it. First thing to do, when you meet someone for the very first time, you want to spend some time with them, right? Going out to dinner, going out to the park, doing something. May I suggest don't have sex right away, okay? Because that's going to mess up your emotions, your right mind. Just try not to have sex too fast. Okay, in saying that, the first thing you want to do is take time and listen to them. Listen to your partner and watch them and pay attention. Now, what I mean by listen to them and watch them, when a person says something, not everything they say is what they mean, and not really what a lot of people mean is what they say. So you want to take what they do in relations to what they say, but take what they do at a 85-90% of communication of what they do, and 20-15% of what they say. It's, for an example, someone can say, "Oh, I love you," but is hitting you, abusing you at the same time. So what's really the truth? Do they love you because they say it, or do they love you because they show it, right? Okay. So give yourself time, watch them, and then I want you to sit down by yourself and examine what you've been through with them, okay? You want to do it daily, some daily and some weekly. It just depends on when you get together. But when you get together, you want to walk away, go back home or wherever you're at, and sit down, and I want you to examine what just happened. Now, I want to give you some pointers in what to look for when you examine them. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. Okay, so the first thing I want you to pay attention to is their behavior. Now, what is a behavior? A behavior is how they act or react towards something, okay? When you're in a conversation, do you see them yelling out, okay, to someone or whatever? Are they listening to you and willing to work something out? Are they selfish or are they blaming? When conflict hits, how do they act or how do they react within that conflict? See, this is where I say, in all relationships, do not judge it when things are going good. You can really determine a person's behavior when things are not good, because that brings out the truth of them, and that behavior is something to pay attention to. If they're, for an example, again, just an example to give you some examples of behavior, how they act or react towards a conflict, for example, if there's a problem that happened, how do they act? Do they get upset? Do they yell at? Do they outwardly express themselves and so on? Or were they calm, reserved, and just took their time, right? How they behave is a internal, okay? Behavior is a internal. The next one is habits. Habits is somehow, it's a collective of behaviors, but it's an external position. Habits is, I feel like I need to work out. That's a behavior. The habit is, I'm going to work out every single day, right? Until I get a goal. Do I go to church? Do I go to work on time? That's a habit. How do they dress? That's a habit, quite honestly, because here's and dressing is a clear red flag, if it will be, of understanding a person's habit. For example, if they go to work dressing one way and they go out with their friends and dress another way, that tells you their habit is not consistent, and their behavior, which is a collective of themselves, their behavior is acting out in different environments. So that means if they dress one way for work and they look another way when they go out, then can you really trust them? Because if they're willing to, their habit is dressing one way for work, and their habit then is dressing another way with their friends, the question is, how are they going to dress in front of you, right? And if they dress a certain way in front of you, which one is the trueness of them? Meaning their habits. Are they going to reflect the work, or are they going to reflect their friends, right? In context, we call that stereotype, right? But it's also a habit. It's a external position, okay? All right, so let's move on to the next one, morals. Morals is they believe what is right versus what's wrong, okay? Morals is I don't see nothing wrong if I take this from work. That's morals. Morals is I don't see nothing wrong with a small lie because I lie. That's a moral issue. A moral is I believe helping a stranger, right? Excuse me, guys. Helping a stranger, that is that's a moral position because I believe it's the right thing to do to help someone. Okay, that's a belief. Morals is hitting you or hitting someone. That's morals position because I don't see nothing wrong with hitting you. Okay. Morals, again, it's a desire of knowing what's or believing what's right and wrong. And morals is ultimately coming from their parents, coming from their environment where they were raised. Drinking, there's nothing wrong with drinking, considering their parents might have drank, right? And their friends drink, and so I'm a drink. I don't see nothing wrong with drinking. It's a conflict if you're not a drinker. And going to a bar, it's a conflict if you don't go to a bar, but they don't see nothing wrong with going to a bar. And so that moral position is there, and you got to pay attention. Is it a conflict against what your morals and your belief is and theirs? Okay. Ethics is the total collection of the morals principles. Meaning, if I take something from work, that's a moral. Ethics is I'm going to take from you, and I'm going to take from my parents, my friends. I'm going to take whatever I want from whomever I want. I can lie to you. I can lie to them. I can lie, right? That's ethics. I believe I can lie to everyone. Helping a stranger is another one. Could I help everyone? Yes, because that's a moral, but it's an ethical issue, right? And you see ethics in the context that people running business and in politics, when they're trying to push their ethics, their belief system towards the masses, okay? And then the last one, well, let me say ethics in context. You have to pay attention to ethics in the context because ethics tells me how they act towards everyone, okay? And so when you have a person with you, yes, they're with you, but again, do not judge that person just because they're with you. You have to pay attention and broaden it out. How do they act towards their friends? How do they act towards their whatever they're doing out in the community, and so on and so on, right? You put all that together, and you can get the behavior, habits, morals, and ethics. Okay? Those 4 things, I think, is something you really need to pay attention to within a person. Behavior, habits, morals, and ethics. Because that is what is the foundation of a person in how they think, how they believe, and how they do what they do. Meaning, if a person is going to lie to you, they're going to lie to you and lie to their friends, or they act a certain way with you, but they act a certain different way with their friends and their parents and so on. There's no consistency. The pattern is not consistent. And so how do you build trust with someone who's acting different from how they work, to their friends, to their family, to their organizations or their community? And everywhere you see them, they're acting a little different here, a little different there, and they're saying something here that's not matching up with what they're doing. All of that is a conflict. And yes, they might be a nice person. Absolutely, they might be a nice person, and they might be a gentle person. But their behavior, habits, morals, and ethics is going to lay the foundation, and eventually, as you build on top of that, meaning give time, right? You're having time with them. You're either going to adjust to them, they're going to adjust to you, or there's going to be a lot of frustration in both of you. I want to go out to the bar, for an example, and I don't want to go out to the bar. I want to stay home, kind of deal, right? That frustration is going to build, and eventually your relationship is going to break up. And typically in this position, it's going to break up very hard for both parties. Okay. The other point that I got here, because I said I have 5, the other point is culture. We're a global community, and in being a global community, I've found that a lot of couples and people, when they get into a relationship with someone with a different culture, one, they don't understand that culture that they're walking themselves into. 2, they don't want to understand their culture, and so they believe that culture should be with me, to me, and I'm not to them. And I'll give you an example in a second. And so in this context, when you have 2 different people from 2 different cultures, one has to understand the other versus the other. Now, let me give you an example. If I'm in America, right? Okay, my parents is from Europe and Spain, and so in context, my woman is in Thailand. And so the question is, do I adjust to her culture, or does she adjust to my culture? See, right? That's the question at hand. And the answer is, to me, the answer is very simple. America don't have no culture. America don't have culture. So I rather adapt to her culture, because she has a culture. When I say culture, I'm talking about food, the music, holidays, and so on. And so out of respect, I know she would, through the holidays, come to America and celebrate holidays and be with me within that spectrum. But it's more better if I adjust to her and her culture, considering she's in Thailand. So when I come to Thailand, it would be stupid of me and rude of me if, when I go to a different homeland, meaning I'm coming from America going into Thailand, it is rude and stupid of me not to adjust to their culture, their food, the music, the holidays, and so on. I know so many Europeans with this mentality of, I don't need to learn their language. I don't need to like their food. And I know for a fact that there are couples out there with Europeans, mostly European guys, and American people, where they say, I'm not eating that food. I need to eat American style junk food, and so the woman is typically cooking her food, cultural food, and she's adjusting to American style food to please the man in this context. And I believe that is wrong, but that's just my opinion. That's my personal opinion. But I think it's wrong in the context that a relationship should not be enslaved by that dimension, right? And I believe in all cases that I've counseled, where in this context, man, European, and woman, Asian, that the woman is extremely unhappy with the European because she's feeling disrespect. She's feeling that he technically doesn't love her for who she is. And as she's changing into him, he's not changing into her. That's one-sided. And then we get to the point of, okay, why are we together? And typically it's the using position of, I'm being with him because he's financially stable, and so on and so on. But when the opportunity comes, and I've seen this in so many cases, when the opportunity comes because the person doesn't respect their culture and doesn't respect them, who they are, the frustrations build. And when that frustration builds, then there becomes a separation. Okay? So I can find someone in Asia. I can find someone from Spain and Spanish, or Mexico, European. Middle Eastern. We're a global community. But me going out to them, I have to take time to acquire them and to adjust to them to a degree where they see the effort that I'm putting forth, so they don't feel like I'm disrespecting their culture, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So if you find someone that doesn't respect your culture, I would suggest, if you want a long-term relationship and they don't respect your culture, don't get with them. Now, again, that's just a suggestion. I'm not telling you what you can or can't do. Everyone has their own reasoning behind it, their own motives behind it, right? But a long-term relationship is built on enhancing one another and not one taking over another. Okay? So to wrap this up, so me and Mayo were together 3 weeks, and yes, I've been watching her, listening to her, looking at her behaviors, her habits, her morals, her ethics, all of that. I've been on the side understanding the culture, language. Of course, I understand the food because of the wife that passed away and the community within that. So I understand the food, love the foods. That's not going to be a problem. The language, it's going to take some time. The music, we can deal with it, right? So I'm adapting myself to that culture, but I'm also paying attention to her behavior, habits, morals, and ethics. And she is, to me, even though she doesn't understand the definitions of what I just explained, she's paying attention to me. And ladies have this saying that I have this gut feeling about this person. The gut feeling about this person is somewhat defined what I just defined. And in this position, if you have the gut feeling, ladies and guys, and you now can examine the definitions of certain things, then I would say the third part about this is you have to come to a decision. You have to decide. And the decision to decide, give me 1 second. Excuse me. There's a decision that you must decide. Is this person, even though their behavior, habits, ethics, culture, and the culture position is not where I want it, they can still be a good friend to you because they are a good person. They're a nice person, right? You don't have to hang out with them 100%. They're a good person, but okay. You can make them a boyfriend, girlfriend and continue growing that relationship if you find what we just talked about pleasing and there's an opportunity from within this. And as a side note, notice I didn't say anything about how they look. How they look is that first video, so check that out. This one here is internal. What does it mean to grow? So you can make them, okay, we got some behaviors, habits, morals, and ethics that I like, okay, so I can deal with that, those things. The culture is acceptable, and so boyfriend, girlfriend, we can raise that and continue growing, and who knows where that might go in the future. And the third position is if they're a good person, but they don't have the right behavior, habits, morals, and ethics, and they don't seem like they're respecting your culture, may I suggest you need to get rid of them. Because my saying is, never trade your loneliness with chaos. Okay? Someone's behavior and their habits will, in the long run, build a frustration within you, and their morals and ethics collectively will build the frustration within you. That together is just not a good foundation to be in. And so there are times where the person that you're with is a good person. They're just not compatible to you. And so never trade in your loneliness for chaos. Okay? So decide, make a decision. And again, when do you make the decision? Give it some time. Daily, weekly, monthly. Just give it some time. Just make your official decision as soon as you feel comfortable that this person is worthy to work life out with. Because life, just because they're a good person and they have good matching stuff to be with you, life is still hard. And so you want someone with behavior, habits, morals, and ethics. You want someone to go through life with you as life becomes cycles. There's some good times and there's some bad times. And so understand the difference. Do you have a partner that you're willing to go to war with? Because not just that they're a good person, but you know their behavior, habits, morals, and ethics is something that is compatible to you, and you're willing to go through this thing called life together. Right? So this is all I got today. So let's real fast. Take your time, listen to them, watch them, pay attention to them, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly. Just make a special note: behavior, habits, morals, ethics. Do they respect your culture if it's a outside culture? And then come to a conclusion, come to a decision and decide. Do you make them a friend? Do you make them continue the boyfriend-girlfriend growth? Or do you just simply break up with them? Take your time, understand who they are, internal, right? How they act and react. And then when you see what you see, make a decision. Never trade loneliness for chaos. All right, guys. There's Dr. Bagley. It's getting ready to rain. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.